let's start with the Arab. There are three forms of Arab. In Arabic, there are three forms of Arab. As I gave the example, I was coming to the office, my car broke down, and a friend gave me ride. In all three sentences, it was Abdus Samie which was being discussed, but in the first sentence, since I was in a different status, so I was doer of coming, right? So I use for me the nominative form. In the second sentence, basically I was discussing whom? Car, mashallah. But what was the relation? What was that car to me? That was my car. So I had to mention myself. But the sentence, the main object being discussed in the sentence was car, right? And in the third, who was the doer? Ride provider was my friend. So I was the victim of that act. So I used for myself me, I, my, and me, right? In English, this is the case only with pronouns. But as I said, in Arabic, there is no noun without an Arab. There is no noun without an Arab. Every noun has to have, got to have its Arab. Whether the change of Arab is visible or not, like read, 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 but it has to have an Arab. So there are three forms of Arab. Forms of Arab. One, Raf. Arab of Raf. And the noun would be called marfu'. Raf means ascension, height. So this is the highest level. As I said, it's a very scientific language. Everything will be meaningful. In a sentence, the doer is in the commanding position. So this is called in the Rafa form, right? Commanding position. And the other is nasab form. Sorry, this sad is having fatha. Nasab, not nasb. Nasab form. Yeah. So this is, the noun is called mansoob. In the classical sense, because the object is the victim. So nasab means to fix something into the ground. So the technical word used for them is mansoob, the one who has been nailed down, who has become the victim of the verb. And then the third is the form of jar. Jar, this is tashdeed over here. Jar. And the noun will be called majroor. The act will be jar, the form will be jar form, rafa form, nasab form, and jar form. And the victims of this act of making rafa, nasab, and jar will be known as marfu, mansoob, and majroor. Marfu, mansoob, and majroor. Jar means to drag. To drag. Majroor is dragged. It's coming in the secondary position, because as I gave the example, my car broke down. Actually, the car broke down and I was for nothing dragged with the car. Although I was healthy and strong, mashallah. But my car broke down, but I was mentioned and dragged with the car. Okay? So this is the first subheading of I'rab. Now the second subheading. So since it's being dragged, we can put a sign like this. Okay? How to express I'rab. How to express I'rab. How to express I'rab. Basically of two types again. With harakat, with haraka. Haraka means dhamma, fatha or kasra of the last letter. Of the last letter. B, by changing the entire word. Entire word.
There is no English word for haraka.
No. Haraka is basically vowels. In English you have A, E, I, O, U. What's their function? Actually they move the sound. They are consonants. B is a consonant. P is a consonant. T is a consonant. Right?
But every word has to have vowel.
Let me explain now. These are consonants. These are basically sounds. H sound, B sound, L sound, K sound, P sound, B sound, N sound, M sound. Right? You have got two sounds. A P sound and a T sound. You have to move from P to T. But in which direction is T sitting? You know, this is P, right? And there is T. Here, here, or here. Who will tell you in English that where is T sitting? Vowel. Look. P-A-T pat, P-U-T put, and P-I-T pit. You know, P is a sound, but how would you bring this sound out from your mouth? Pa, pu, pi, pe. Who tells you this? Vowel. You understand my point? In Arabic, what you will do? P, let's put ba here, and bat, bit, and but. There's no letter here. This harakat has told you that how would you move the first sound. The ba sound will move in this direction to catch the T sound. Vowel will tell you in English and harakat will tell you in Arabic. Is that clear? Are you with me? Everybody is with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Harakat are basically vowels, which tell you in which direction you will move the sound. Ba, this is B is a sound, but when I have to spell this out from my mouth, how can I spell? Ba, B, bu. So this is vowel. In Arabic, ba, fatha, ba, kasra, bi, ba, dhamma, bu. That's it. Yeah. This is the second type, is changing the whole word. Now we take the examples. You will understand with the example. The examples of A are kafiru. I'll come to this later on. Kafirun, kafirin. I think the regular features like this. Kafiran and kafirin. In English, the possessive case comes number 2. Nominative case first. He, his and him. But in Arabic, remember, the order is that the rafa form comes first. This is the rafa form. This is the nasab form. And this is the jar form. Right? Kafirun, kafiran, kafirin. The only difference is dhamma here, fatha here, and kasra here. Right? Muslimun, Musliman, and Muslimin. Kafirun, kafiran, kafirin, rafa form, nasab form, and jar form represented, rafa form represented with the dhamma of the last letter, and nasab form represented with the fatha of the last letter, and jar form shown, expressed with the kasra of the last letter. So is the case here. Muslimun, rafa form expressed with the dhamma of the last letter, nasab form expressed with the fatha of the last letter, and the jar form represented with the kasra of the last letter. So this is the example of this one. This is the common case. No, in more than 50%, 60 to 7% cases, you will have this, that the rafa form will be represented with the dhamma of the last letter, nasab form will be expressed with the fatha of the last letter, and the jar form will be expressed with the kasra of the last letter. You know, in English also, there are normally in verb, the second and third form is with the addition of a d or ed. Right? But sometimes the whole word changes. Come becomes came. It is not come. No, your common sense says that the second form of come should have been come, but it's not come. Go, went, gone, all three are different from each other. So this is why I have written here, by changing the whole word. But in English, it is totally from the blue. But in Arabic, that also is under the rule. It's very interesting that even that in 99.9% cases will be according to the rule. It's only few examples in the Arabic language. Man is rajulun, but woman is imraatun, not rajulatun. Only hardly few examples. 99.9 cases it will be masculine, feminine of the same kind. Although there is a masculine of imraatun as imraun, but most commonly used is rajulun, but there is no feminine derived from this word. Directly you will say, yeah. And then the plural of imraatun. What's the plural of imraatun? Nisbatun or nisaun. The whole word changes. So there are few examples only, but the principle that I am telling you is that the whole word changes. But again, this can be a few of the type of imratun and nisaun or niswatun, but mostly it will be according to rule. The exceptional we will not study, that inshallah you will learn with the passage of time. Any Muslim who reads the Qur'an regularly, he already has that vocabulary. But the rule we will find that usually what happens is, this is in the case of muthanna and plurals, jama. Again, since there is no concept such thing as muthanna in English, there is no proper word in English for muthanna. There is all hit and trial, some will call dual, some will call other ways. Why use that word? Simply, this concept doesn't exist in English. So, you will call it musanna. We will learn just in a few minutes what musanna is. But now just complete your chart that this is the case in musanna and regular plural, sorry. Regular plural, you will find out what is regular plural later on when you will study the other chapter. So this is how to express i'rab. I'rab can be expressed in two ways. One, with the haraka of the last letter. Number two, by changing the entire word. Then just a small subheading, i'rab can be light or heavy. Light and heavy i'rab. Light and heavy i'rab. After the expression of i'rab, masculine, feminine forms and number, if there is an additional n sound at the end, that i'rab will be considered to be a heavy i'rab. For example,
Light or heavy.
pardon?
Light or heavy, not heavy.
Okay. Light or heavy i'rab. Muslimun, a Muslim man. Muslimatun, a Muslim woman. And Muslim men. Now, Muslim man, this indicates masculine as well as singular, right? And the form of i'rab, dhamma is also there. Understand my point? So, whether it is Muslimu or it is Muslimun, would it make any difference in the meanings? No. But Arabs actually, like a card player, he has got different cards in his hands, and at proper time he plays a card. So Muslims actually, the Arabs, they have got different cards to take different benefits that we will learn later on. They have additional card here that they use double dhamma, double fatha and double kasra, tanween. So when there is, and in this case, this is feminine, singular and in rafa form. Again, the three characters are very obvious. So whether it was muslimatun or muslimatu, it doesn't make any difference. But we see that Arabs sometimes use muslimatun, sometimes they use muslimatu. What is the advantage of that card? That we will learn later. But now we are just recognizing their cards. This is one of their cards, which will be played by them at certain time. Understand my point? So, Same is the case here. Muslimuna, Muslim men, and in Rafa form. Muslim men in Rafa form. So, even if and Muslimina, this was Rafa form, and Muslimina is again Muslim men, but in both Nasab and Jar form. Yes?
What Muslim women? Muslimat,
Two women.
Muslim women.
Muslim women, Muslimat, Muslimatun, Muslimatin, Muslimatin.
More than two women.
That will come to that in the next heading. When we'll come to number, we'll study that. First, I have to make the concepts clear. You know, we are actually studying the cards, that they have a card here. We'll just recognize they have a card here. What's the use of that card and how they use that card? That we'll find later. There will be many uses of this card. Inshallah, you'll find out with the passive type. So we are just now recognizing their cards. This is one of their cards, which they will play at time. So this again is Muslim men, but in Nasab and Jar form. Now, even if you remove this additional Dhamma for here, the meanings is the same. Here, Muslimatun or Muslimatu, meanings are the same. This was an additional card they had here. Similarly, Muslimuna and Muslimina, both are the masculine plural forms, but actually the differentiation between the Rafa and Nasab Jar form is complete here without noon. Muslimu and Muslimi. But they add a noon here, which at time they will remove. When they will remove, we'll find later. But now we are just to recognize that in the expression of an Arab, sometimes they add a noon at the end. We are just recognizing that. That makes the Arab heavy, and if that end sound is removed from the end, we would name it a lighter Arab. Is that clear now? With full information about a noun, whether it is singular, plural or muthanna, whether it's masculine or feminine, and what is the form of its Arab, is complete with or without the second Dhamma or Fatha or Kasra. Isn't it? Same meaning. Muslimun has same meaning, Musliman has same meaning, and Muslimin has same meanings. Right? And so is the case with of Muslimu, Muslima, and Muslimi. But our observation is that Arabs sometimes use double Dhamma, Fatha, or Kasra, and sometimes singular. And so is the case here. Sometimes they drop this noon, sometimes they add this noon. And as a separate word, it doesn't add anything. Whether it is Muslimuna or it is Muslimina, as a separate word, this means Muslim men. But when they will use Muslim men as Muslimuna, and when they will say Muslimina, that we will find later. But at present, we are just observing their habits. Are you with me now? So this is about the light and heavy Arab. Another subheading about Arab. Response to the call of Arab. Response to the call of Arab. Response to the call of Arab. A sentence requires a change in Arab. Like in verb, sentence requires the second or third form of put. And for a beginner or a foreigner, the easy route is that it becomes put it, put it, put it, put it and put it, but it doesn't. Are you with me? How it is? It is put, put and put. Read, read and read. So the requirement of the sentence was that it changes its form. It does change its form, but apparently it doesn't. In fact, the form has changed. The three forms of the verb put are put, put and put. Put is the first form, put is the second form and put is the third form. So in the sentence you will recognize this is second form put or third form put. But apparently it is the first form. So the verb has not responded cooperatively. The verb has not responded cooperatively with the foreigners or the beginners. It is creating a problem for the beginners.
In English.
In English. So is in Arabic. Most of the nouns are very cooperative. They clearly show their form, whether they are in Rafa form, Nasab form and Jar form. But some of them are partly cooperative. They don't respond fully. And the still others, yet others, they are non-cooperative. For example, the first word of the Holy Qur'an after Surah Al-Fatiha and Huruful Muqattat is, no, after Huruful Muqattat, Zalika. In Rafa form it is Zalika. In Nasab form it is Zalika. It is in Jar form it is Zalika. So this is a non-cooperative noun. It, in the sentence, it must have its form. Sometimes it will be in the Rafa form, sometimes it will be in the Nasab form, sometimes in the Jar form, but it's not showing its form. You have to use your common sense. From the context, you would recognize that which form is this. But the noun will not show itself up. It will show the same. In all the three forms of I'rab, in Rafa form it will be Dalika, in Nasab form it will be Dalika, in Jar form it will be Dalika. So this is non-cooperative. So the three categories you can have here are: number one, cooperative nouns. Cooperative nouns, and in Arabic the term is mu'rab, al-ismul mu'rab. Al-ismul mu'rab. Al-ismul mu'rab, the noun which accepts i'rab completely. Then examples we have just taken: Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin, Muslimuna, Muslimina, Muslimina. Then you have got partly cooperative. Partly cooperative. Partly cooperative, nouns. They are called Ghair Munsarif. Their other name is Munsarif too. Sarf means change. You know, if you go to Saudi Arabia for Umrah, yeah, Sarraf will be the money changers, right? So sarf means change. So the nouns which change according to the requirement of i'rab, they are called Munsarif or Mu'rab Asma. So the partly cooperative, the Arabic name is Ghairu Munsarif. This is not correct name, but this is how they are named. Ghairu Munsarif. Ghayru Munsarif literally means the one who doesn't change. But in fact, they partly change and partly they refuse to change. These nouns do not accept kasra at the end. These nouns do not accept kasra at the end, so their jar form too is expressed with fatha. Examples: rafa form, nasab form and jar form. It will be like Ibrahimu, Ibrahima and Ibrahima. Yusufu, 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 Yusufa and Yusufa. Fir'aunu, Fir'auna and Fir'auna. Right? Maryamu, Maryama, remember most of the proper nouns would be like this. Within Arabic, all the name which end at ta, may they be muannas or mudhakkar, they are ghair munsarif. Talha, Ubada, Usama, Hamza. All the proper nouns ending at an, Uthman, Affan, they would all be ghair munsarif. All the non-Arabic proper names would be ghair munsarif. Pakistana, Amrikiya, like this, most of them would be ghair munsarif. But this is a very long list. In this short course, it's not possible for us to study the whole list. You must have some detailed grammar book and you have to memorize these things from that. The heading I have told you, the concept I have told you, that their era will be like this: Ibrahimu, Ibrahima, Ibrahima, Yusufu, Yusufa, Yusufa, Fir'aunu, Fir'auna, Fir'auna, Maryamu, Maryama, Maryama. You know, Sayyida Aisha radhiyallahu anha, most of the ahadith are quoted by her. How it appears in the books of hadith: An Aishata, not Aishati. An Aishata radhiyallahu anha, qalat qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Right? So, why? Because this is a proper name, it's proper noun, name of a woman in Arabic. There are the names given to men or women according to meanings. For example, most of the nouns given to sons and daughters in Pakistan, they are Arabic words, but they are meaningful words, like Muhammad itself. You know, the name Muhammad was not a common name in Arabs. It was an Arabic word, but you hardly find anyone among his Sahaba, especially senior to him, are people living in Makkah having name Muhammad. So Abdul Muttalib named his grandson Muhammad and introduced to the leaders of Qureshi that I have named this grandson of mine Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I'm sure he will have a lot of praise. So why he has to explain this? Because this was an unusual name. This was a classical Arabic word, not a common classical proper noun of Arabic. So since it became the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it became a proper noun, a definite noun. But prior to that, it was just a common noun in Arabic. Okay? So these are called partly. This is what I am saying, because that was an Arabic word, not an Arabic name. This is what I explained. Yeah, it will be Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin. You know, most of the names given to children in Pakistan: Abidatu, Abida, Abid, Abidun, Abidan, Abidin, Abidatun, Abidat, Abidatin, Zahid, Zahidan, Zahidun, Zahidan, Zahidin, Zahidatun, zahidatan, zahidatin. They will all be munsarif. Because they are not exactly the names. They are basically nouns, but they are given to certain children and now they become proper name. But add compared to that, Usama, Ubada, Talha, Hamza, right? Uthman, Umar, Amr, Sulaiman. No, Sulaiman is from Ajam. I'm talking of the Arab names. They're all ghair munsarif. Now number 3, non-cooperative. Non-cooperative nouns are mabni asma, al asmaul mabniyat. Mabni nouns, these are the nouns which show no change in their appearance. Example I have already given to you, dhalika, dhalika, dhalika. Now remember, again and again I don't have to say rafa form, nasab form and jar form. Whenever I repeat 3 times a noun, you should have an understanding that I am mentioning its i'rab. Dhalika, dhalika, dhalika. It means zalika in rafa form, zalika in nasab form and zalika in jar form. Hada, hada, hada. This is hada and that is dhalika. Tilka, tilka, tilka. More and more terms we introduce to them, harder it will become for them to memorize. So basically I make the themes clear. When the themes are clear, and then you take any book of Arabic, inshallah that will help you to memorize things. More you hard work and more inshallah you will gain. But inshallah I will give you clear concepts of the language. So dhalika, 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 tilka, 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 haulai, 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 ulaika, ulaika, ulaika. All the demonstrative nouns in singular and plural form, they are mabniyat. They don't alter, they don't change their appearance. Their shape, their appearance, their look remains unchanged. You have to infer from the context. Like, what is this? He read a book. Why not read a book?
You can't, because the sentence demands that you read it, he read.
No. It should have reads then. I intentionally took the third person so that you don't make a mistake. But if it is I, then you have confusion whether it is first form or it is the other form. So, he read a book, no choice. But if it is I read or read a book, both are the possibilities. I read a book and I read a book. But since you know English, you don't have any problem. No, if it is a separate sentence, that you will have 2 possibilities. But you are reading in a paragraph, then you don't have a problem because you have the context. And from the context you know that it is the first form or the second form. So that's all about i'rab, which I wanted to share with you. Details, examples you will have from other books. A few examples you will find in this book too, but there are very few. In fact, more and more you read the Qur'an, inshallah, you may not need other books too. But if you want to improve the vocabulary, yes you can. But the concepts are there now.